evening, race fans, and welcome. It's Sunday, fun day here on VirtualRacing.Network. You're just in time. It is, of course, time for the Icon Cup Series playoffs, and we are set for a very high-flying evening of entertainment here at the legendary Super Speedway Talladega. 94 laps around this big old oval where they race inches apart and sometimes rub a lot of paint and make for some very exciting racing. Who's it going to be tonight? It's going to punch their ticket into the next round of the Icon Cup Series playoffs. That is what we're watching for. And 94 laps of fun in between. I'm Trevor Greenfield. So great to have you with us here live as always. And joining me in the booth here is legendary sim racer who will be here racing tomorrow night on VirtualRacing.Network, but also team owner in the Icon Cup Series. Christian Snyder joins us here. And Christian, what can you say about this big beauty of a racetrack, Talladega?
Oh man, it is one of my favorites, hence why I'm racing tomorrow. But there's so much about this track I love. I know I almost didn't make it here because I was partying too hard on the boulevard last night down there, the virtual boulevard. The parties down there are wild, I tell you. But this track, man, it is an animal, and the main focus for tonight is just avoid the big one. It's not if it happens, it's when it happens, and you got to avoid it. That's always what I love about this track. You never know when it's going to strike. It could be lap one or it could be the last lap coming to the start-finish line. As we see qualifying getting underway. But, man, I tell you, track position not a factor here. So these guys might back off of their lap a little bit, let out of the gas, start in the rear. There's so many strategies that go into this track, whether you want to start in the rear and avoid everything in the beginning or start up front and try to lead laps. And we'll have to see who does what and comes out on top here for the playoffs.
Well, and certainly it's some of the factors that normally is really important to tighter ovals, such as the temperature and the amount of wind. Now, usually the temperature can wreak havoc on these tires. It's a lot less of an effect here, but 110 degrees Fahrenheit, it's still a warm day here in Talladega, but also that wind, which can really wreak havoc at the end of these long straightaways, not going to be a factor, only 3 miles per hour. So with that, as you said, everybody heading out there to qualifying. Now, qualifying, pretty much the least important at a track like this because you can certainly go from the back to the front. But that being said, who doesn't want to start with a pole position? A great way to get your evening going out here in the Icon Cup Series. And a lot of these drivers, of course, are going to need to punch their ticket into the next round, with only Nathan Finnegan having done so far with his win at Texas this last week. Here's Cody Height for Harper Motorsports heading out onto the track. Number 17, Cody Height on YouTube, as he's known, streaming away over on his own channel. If you're not already a subscriber, you might check that out. How about Brendan Jenks over here? He's just put it into the books so far for Full Send Esports, getting in there with the top times so far. Sean Purcell now second fastest for Chicagoland Racing, and that makes he and his brother sitting second and third currently. Here's Jacob Gladelich for Full Send Esports getting in the fourth fastest time. So kind of two teams taking up the top time so far, but now Thomas Taylor puts his name into the books.
How about that? He tied with Purcell there. Down to the millionth of a second there.
Definitely close stuff. Easy to... It's easy for everybody. I mean, it is completely wide open in this cockpit. Just got your right foot to the floor. No real challenge, no braking. Just have to make sure you keep it as close down to that yellow line. Christian, is there anything to do other than just keep it down to that yellow line, or do you play with the line at all? Do you put it in the middle of the groove? Any tricks to qualifying here?
You know, if there are, I haven't figured them out. I'd never qualify good at plate races. People will be like 2/10 quicker than me, and I'm just like, where can I find that on the track? I'm just holding it wide open, pinning my tires to the yellow line, but I still am 2/10 slower. So I think the most important thing is getting up through the gears on your outlap and getting as much as you can on the apron on that beginning lap, because that leads to faster times those first 2 laps that you put out. And speaking of faster times, Justin Michael going to dethrone Brendan Jenks as the pole sitter. He's going to take that pole off of him.
Not a surprise there. Michael, one of the fastest drivers here in the Icon Cup Series. And right now, it's looking like a yellow board in the top 10, as all of the championship drivers that are in these playoffs have put their cars right up there into the top 10. The exception of Vincent Loria and Tim Harper, Justin Bissonnette. Ronnie Norman actually, surprise but not a surprise. Like you said, I mean, there's not a lot of these drivers not really going to necessarily be pushing as hard as they might at a track where track position going to mean a lot.
Yeah, I talked to Cody Height before the race here just a little bit ago, and I asked him, since you're in the playoffs, how do you come into this? Like, what's your strategy going in? And he said he's going to stay at the back for the entire race as long as he can until it's go time. So, and then you got, Justin Michael out here qualifying first, who's going to try to capitalize on stage points when we hit that stage.
Well, exciting stuff, and we're just about to get underway. Why don't we go ahead, though, and quickly take a look at the points as they stand before we get down to our starting grid. And this is where we're at coming into tonight's race, following the Texas Motor Speedway race, in which Nathan Finnegan was definitely the class of the show. Kind of surprising. I mean, he was a front runner throughout the Icon Cup Series, but for him to come out and really take control was quite a head turner, and we'll see whether or not Finnegan can continue his winning ways here at Talladega. Ryan Patty, 29 points back. Justin Michael, 19. And then so on, as you can see. And then those drivers who are now on the outside looking in, Justin Bissonnette, Brian Smith, which I don't know if Brian is... Did he make it into tonight's race? I don't believe he's in tonight's race, so...
Yeah, it doesn't appear to be.
Adam Ball and Cody Height also on the outside looking in. So Height using that strategy. It'll be interesting to see whether or not that pays off for him here tonight. So with that, let's go ahead and take a look at the starting order for tonight's race. It's round number 2 of the playoffs, the round of 12. And it is none other than Justin Michael who does take pole position. Congratulations to him. And again, it's not as important, but it's always a point of pride. Starting alongside will be Brendan Jenks for Full Send Esports, and so close, 3, what is that, 1,000ths of a second? Separating him from Justin Michael, so barely any distance at all. On the second row will be Adam Ball, and alongside him, Ryan Patty for the Detached House of Speed. On the third row, it'll be Thomas Taylor and Nathan Finnegan, last week's winner. On the fourth row, Sean Purcell and Cody Neal. The fifth row will have Mark Morton, another one of those drivers from the Full Send Esports stable, alongside of Kyle Purcell. Then it'll be Jacob Gladelich and Vincent Loria. Starting in 13th, Tim Harper, and alongside him will be Kevin Gunther. In 15th, Mike Jennings, and alongside will be Justin Bissonnette. Cameron Thompson making I believe his debut here in the Icon Cup Series. I'm not sure if he's done another race this season, but I believe it's the first time he's sat in the car. And alongside him will be Stephen Tuck. Fan favorite over in YouTube, Anthony Campbell, will be starting 19th place for Harper Motorsports. Alongside him, Ronnie Norman for Harper as well. Then you've got another of the Harper teammates, Cody Height. Alongside him, Evan Patinko, Hanover Fist, and Jameson Haviland. And still a couple more to go. Jackson Glenn Austin, and finally Brad Delp. And all these drivers will make the start. So we'll be having 26 starting tonight. pretty fun to be coming to Talladega, Christian. You never know what to expect. Hopefully it stays green for a lot and we get to see some really fantastic racing out here.
Yeah, I always love to see green flag racing at Talladega. The cautions do happen usually, but the green flag racing is so exciting here. Wish I could go to this track in real life someday. You know, check that off my bucket list because of how amazing this track is.
Well, I think it's on a lot of people's bucket list for sure. But since it's just up the road from me, maybe it is a possibility. You could drive down, I'll drive up, and we'll all party down with the Icon folks here at Talladega. But in the meantime, it's Justin Michael, who's going to drive past Barney the Flag Man first and lead it. Actually, I take it back. Brendan Jenks able to get by on the outside before even the start-finish line. And we're underway here for the Icon Cup Series second playoff race of the 2023 inaugural season. Ryan Patty now squeaking by up there into the second spot. However, we're seeing a couple of drivers deciding to pull back. I believe it's Jacob Gladelich who's also decided to drop back a little bit. So some of these drivers already choosing to slide back into the field. But Brendan Jenks, Full Send Esports takes over the command.
Yeah, and I was talking to them earlier, and the outside seems to be the better lane, but right now the inside is more grouped up, and they were able to make a good run in it. But Jenks takes the lead from the outside with Ryan Patty's helping. Patty hasn't let go of his back bumper. He's still pushing him.
Well, Patty, of course, also a member who has won this season, and as a result is in these playoffs. And he knows how to get it done. A lot of these drivers, very successful plate racers as well, winning multiple times on the official iRacing races. So great to see a field packed with talented drivers. Justin,
this is something I predicted that we were going to see very early. Single file all the way around this track except for 2 or 3 cars trying to make that outside lane work. It's a long race, and there's no real need to be up front this early, so a lot of cars just choosing to go down to the bottom and ride, but you can see Brad Delph and Kyle Purcell making that outside work is now up ahead of them. Someone else jumps to the outside. Not sure if that was by choice or if they got moved up there, but we'll have to see here. And this is, I believe, Mark Morton in 5.
It is indeed. So Mark on the outside of Vincent Loria, trying to now hold that position, and as we will be seeing all night, choosing which line you want to come forward in is super crucial. Some of these drivers going to make a decision that will not end up paying off, and they'll have to decide very carefully who is your friend and who is your foe. Who do you want to hide behind and tuck into that pocket of air going forward?
Yeah, that's the thing about these cars. Whenever you pull out to make that move, if someone doesn't go with you, you're going to the back of the field very quickly. These cars just, they have to be in the draft. Once you pull out a line, it's like hitting a brick wall of air, and you go straight to the back. What? Now we see Mark Morton gets clear here. He drops to the bottom. Nope, Patty going to come up top, try to get around Jenks for the lead here. Now Mark Morton drops down to help his teammate.
Well, I tell you, we are seeing that outside line working. There's Brad Delph all the way up 24 spots into that second place on the outside, and it just keeps going, and there's only 3 cars in that outside line. You'd think some of these other drivers would have gotten the memo by now.
Yeah, I think the reason that they got such a good run is because of Patty's move there. He went to the outside of Jenks, slowed him down, and in turn slowed himself down a little bit, taking the lead. And that allowed the outside to, unimpeded, just go right by him here for the lead.
Well, Brad Delph now taking over that lead spot as he tries to pull down a little bit. We'll see whether or not He can manage to cover Ryan Patty on the low line. I don't think so. Patty going to be able to eke ahead here by start-finish, I believe. They continue to swap position as they head down this front straightaway. By the way, hello again to everybody in our YouTube chat room. Great to have you with us. Jacob Gladelich, one of the drivers, checking in with us over on YouTube. And Steven Dombrowski, hopefully tonight will not be a repeat of today's race. Lots of junk loaded on trailers. Indeed, Christian Snyder, a resident team owner, does not want to have to foot a bunch of bills here at the end of the season, that's for sure. So we're always in agreement. And let's go, Ronnie Norman. Appreciate the commentary. Well, we appreciate you, Steven Dombrowski. Always appreciate you checking in. And anyone else out there who's watching along, feel free to let us know where you're watching from and who you're rooting on. If you've got a favorite in the field, we always appreciate chatting with our friends on YouTube. If you're not already subscribed, hey, smash the subscribe button as well. You'll get lots more playoff racing action as we continue here. Ryan Patty still in the lead on lap number 7 at Talladega. Brad Delph in second. Brendan Jenks holding on to third. How about this guy, Jackson Glenn Austin, now moves up into third place. He's up actually into second following Brad Delph for 23 positions gained. And Christian, it's exactly what you were saying about qualifying really not mattering.
Yeah, and Jackson Glenn Austin pushed that man the whole way to the lead. I mean, he was the first guy to jump up there and kind of tell everyone, hey, let's get to the front. I can do it. I can push you up there. And he did. And Ryan Patty now going to have to settle for third for the moment. Still 2 cars out there on the outside. It looks like Kevin Gunther and I believe that's the 57 of Taylor. Still trying to make the outside work, but with only 2 cars, I expect those guys to fall back clear to about 15th or 16th here.
Kevin Gunther trying to get it done from 8th place, but as you said, this is the time where you start to see whether or not you've got any friends to help you, push you, or wow, looks like Thomas Taylor really getting down close there to Sean Purcell.
Sometimes you have to do that in order to slow them down a little bit and get yourself a little bit momentum on the outside, but right now, only being 2 cars, it's not working very well to side draft. And side drafting is so important here, and if you can execute it right, you can really make some moves by yourself sometimes.
Well, certainly, as we noticed earlier, I mean, it only took 3 cars to work pretty well together to use that outside lane and work their way all the way up to the front. So it can be done. And now it looks like we are seeing a second group opening up. This is Mike Jennings back here, now leading Justin Bissonette and Cameron Thompson, Stephen Tuck. Ronnie Norman's in that group, Anthony Campbell, Timothy Harper, Cody Height.
Mike Jennings almost went around off the bumper of Justin Bissonette there coming off the corner. As soon as the cars unloaded, Jennings' car took a hook to the left, almost went to the infield, but you can see that allows Cameron Thompson to get around him on the outside. Ronnie Norman and Anthony Campbell, all 3 working for Harper Motorsports, although Cameron Thompson not officially on the team. He's just an affiliate. Oh, man, that's close right there between the 25 and 16.
And we should also point out that Cameron Thompson utilizing a paint scheme which has the wrong number listed, and as a result, he will end up getting some sort of penalty from the Icon Cup Series. But doesn't matter too much to him. He's not in the playoffs. And now, we've got... I think we had a momentary disconnect from one of the drivers. It looked like somebody was falling down through the field, but I think everything has sorted itself out. Now, how about this combination at the front of the field now? Full Send Esports, first and second, with Brendan Jenks and Mark Morton. Now, tonight, of course, there is 2 stages. First stage will conclude on lap number 30. So right now it's another 19 laps until we reach that point. But definitely you're going to want to be targeting that number. You're going to want to be working your way forward, because there just are no guarantees at a place like Talladega. Absolutely no way to guarantee that you're going to make it through the entire race. So you want to try to score as many points on one of those stages as possible, especially if you're one of these championship contenders.
Yeah, ironically, right now, all 4, maybe 5 of the top 5 there that get points, none of them going for the championship. So there's 4 guys in the front of this field that are going to get points, but it's not going to really matter for them. The only person that's going to benefit is Patty, but you can see Jenks has to drop off the front of the field. He was having some internet connection issues. He's going to drop to the back there, fill in behind, I believe that was Vincent Loria. So unfortunate there for him, but nice of him to drop back to the back knowing that he has some internet issues. But that gives the lead to Mark Morton. He missed a few weeks here, and he's back and now in the lead at Talladega.
Great to see Mark back in the field, and certainly already enjoying some success behind the wheel. Always nice to see a driver when they come back, they get a little bit of payback for making the start. Right now getting to lead some laps. Second place, Kevin Gunther up 12 spots so far. Thomas Taylor up a couple of spots, but Brad Delph also now up 22 spots. So the top 4 big climbers so far. And then you get back to the championship contenders, all of whom have decided to drop back, played a little bit safe, like Ryan Patty. Right here in the number 30, 39-year-old out of North Reading, Massachusetts. Currently, right now, down 1 spot from where he started, but it's a possibility that he's just waiting, because you get about another 10 laps further forward from here, we might see some different strategy play out as we get close to that stage end. But right now, everybody kind of biding their time and behaving. Looks like that second group has also caught back up with the first group, Christian.
Yeah, this is a big, long train now of cars single file. The whole way back to, I believe, 22nd, 23rd. So all the cars, 25 cars actually, in this single file train. The only person not in this group is Hanover Fist. He has lost touch with the leaders. And he's going to risk going a lap down here before the stage. I think these guys should be able to lap him by the time we hit 30.
Look all the way back at Hanover Fist, who somehow has lost that group, but again, will he go no, he's got a long gap. I mean, it's 21 seconds up to the leader from there, but the thing is that it's a about a 50-second lap time. So, I mean, there's a chance he can hang on. I mean, he's not losing too much time. He's losing about 1.5 seconds. I don't know. It could be close, but if he's just got to make it to the caution and keep the speed up as much as he can, but he's just got to make it to the caution, and he might be able to stay on the lead lap. But either way, at the front of this one, it is still the same top 4. Mark Morton, Kevin Gunther, Thomas Taylor, Brad Delph. Your top 4, Ryan Patty, Justin Michael, Adam Ball, Jackson Glenn Austin, and Sean Purcell. With Jacob Gladelich, that is your top 5, or your top 10, at the moment. We've got a little bit of movement here. Looks like Glenn Austin choosing to come forward.
Yeah, and he's having a great run right now because everyone on the inside lane is saving a little bit of fuel. I was made aware that the fuel mileage is around 25 to 28 laps, and with the stage being 30, a lot of these guys not pushing it, not going full throttle, so anyone who jumps up to that high lane is going to just drive by this inside lane because they're just constantly checking up, saving fuel.
Well, that's exactly what's just happened. So there goes Jackson Glenn Austin. And perhaps that's what some of these drivers were doing early in this stage, was just trying to save as much fuel as possible for that exact reason.
Yeah, as you just said that, I actually was messaged by someone in the field, kind of multitasking and messaging me while racing. Ronnie said he was dropping back that far because he was saving fuel drafting. So that was their strategy. They think they have enough fuel to make it to the end, but they're not going to push it yet.
Wow, Sean Purcell splitting Mike Jennings there and deciding to push past and try to take that outside lane to the front.
Oh, almost a wreck there. Purcell wanted to go around the outside of Morton there and kind of forced Bissonette up the track and got into Purcell. Almost went around, but Morton went up and blocked that lane and now pulls him down to the bottom. And that's something we're going to see all night here, is we're going to see blocking lanes, because if you see that lane on the outside coming with a bunch of momentum, it takes everything in you not to jump up there and get in front of it. And it's a benefit. If you get up there and time it right, you can get pushed up to the front pretty easily.
Well, it looks like everybody now managing to behave themselves, but a whole different group here at the front. Brad Delph, Jackson Glenn, Austin, but then Adam Ball, Nathan Finnegan, last week's winner, now into 4th place. Ryan Patty still in 5th. Justin Michael, Sean Purcell, Justin Bissonette. Bissonette was back in that group that had drifted off the back of this front pack not very long ago, and then there he is all the way up into the top 10 now. Kevin Gunther, your final driver in the top 10 at the moment.
Yeah, and you can see what's happening right now. Everyone in the field saw Mark Morton jump up in front and block Sean Purcell. So now, with him being the only person on the outside, no one's going up there and helping him because they know he's going to block any runs that come. So no one wants to help him now. So you got to kind of make friends and make enemies in the right places. And you kind of made enemies a little too early here in this one.
Well, networking is important even at 200 miles an hour. But Mark Morton now still in the top 10. He's trying to side draft there off of Purcell a little bit. See whether or not he can stay in this top 10 or whether he's going to get pushed backwards as everyone else decides to take that low line, with the exception of Thomas Taylor, who jumps out there. And now we see Mike Jennings doing the same thing.
Yeah, Bissonette was the first one to jump up there, and now Purcell also jumps up. They're going to have good run here. The inside's not quite put together too well, and Bissonette was pushing Purcell very well earlier, and now I think he's going to be able to push Purcell straight to the lead.
Well, Purcell has got Bissonette on his rear bumper. This may be what he needs to get pushed up there to the lead. Purcell in that championship hunt, as is Adam Ball, who's currently the car that's just ahead of him in the position. 9 laps to go until we get to the end of stage number 1. Everybody just trying to get themselves in position here to get the maximum amount of points. And a lot of movement so far, but Brad Delph having a fantastic run for himself here. As I mentioned, up 25 spots, holding the point. But Christian, I feel like some of these drivers are just kind of setting him up, that we're going to see a whole train of drivers kind of cruising by this top 3 or 4 cars here before very long.
Yeah, the outside lane put together a lot better right now, but for some reason not able to get up there and get to the lead. Bissonette's doing a great job pushing, but I'm just not sure if maybe the inside lane just doing a little bit better of a job at it up front. And it looks like actually Purcell kind of blinked out a little bit, so now you see a third lane starting to form there in the middle. I think he jumped up to the top to maybe let these guys by because he knows that those internet issues are happening, and Thomas Taylor takes advantage of it and will make a third lane now. You can see just that quickly that top lane completely dissolved, and now it's back to 2 lanes. As you see, Morton, it's really close to Thomas Taylor's bumper there. Is now Justin Michael going to make it 3 wide on Mark Morton here. not going to be able to get there. He's going to have to fall in behind Morton, and it's back to 2 lanes that quickly.
So the door opens in that 3rd lane for a moment, but here comes Adam Ball on the outside with Nathan Finnegan just behind and Thomas Taylor in 3rd. And just like that, Brad Delph's lead has evaporated. We've got 3 brand new cars out in front. And you can see Mark Morton actually coming back on that outside line as well. So we'll see whether or not he's got help now. It's Justin Michael.
He's got very good help from Justin Michael. He's a great plate racer. He's going to be able to probably push Morton right up to the lead. Now the question is Morton going to leave him and pull down in front of Ball? Or is he going to let Michael continue to push him the whole way so that he's 1st and 2nd with Justin Michael? I know me personally, I would stay up on the outside lane knowing how much momentum it has. So now we see a 3rd lane starting to form here. Tim Harper says it's time to go. He's saved enough fuel, and now he's making the 3rd lane in the middle here. We're getting down to crunch time in the stage, and this is when people start getting wild here.
You see Tim Harper now trying to punch his way to the front.
That was close.
Bissonette closes the door as everybody tries to reform. And we've got a big one, including some of these championship drivers. There's Tim Harper, Cody Height involved. Vincent Loria just comes through the mess but gets tagged. Try to straighten it out. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like too much damage to a lot of these drivers. I see Brendan Jenks perhaps involved in that one.
He slowed down enough toward the back of the field, I believe, since he was having internet connection issues and going to stay untouched through this one. But I felt it coming. You could feel the pressure building up at the front. It was like a pressure cooker was ready to go off, and sure enough, some contact between, I believe, Thomas Taylor and Tim Harper here is going to set this thing off. We'll have to take a look here. You can see Taylor drifting up a little bit high there, and then, it's net code between Cody Height and Thomas Taylor.
And that makes contact with Tim Harper. Sends a number of these drivers around. Fortunately, it doesn't look like Harper took too much damage, one of our championship drivers. Let's jump on board here with Height. See exactly what we can see. It looks like Harper kind of checking up in front. I don't know. Height moves down quite considerably towards Taylor. And they do make contact.
He definitely did, but the contact didn't happen until Taylor was already being turned by iRacing, saying that they were closer than what they were. So Thomas Taylor starts jolting to the right before any contact happens, and that's just iRacing not being in the right place and telling the software, like, hey, that's not what actually happened. But unfortunately, this happens week in and week out. We see iRacing causing cautions and not throwing cautions when they should, and you gotta love it.
You gotta love it. It's the same for everybody. And I believe we will probably get in 1 lap, maybe 2 laps before we get to the caution. Or I see a lot of people now coming into the pits. So as we go back to the live picture, Thomas Taylor leading that group into the pits. Brendan Jenks in there. Looks like Cody Neal, one of our championship drivers.
Yeah, they should be able to get 1 lap in for this stage. If not, they will obviously end it under caution. But I'm guessing they're thinking that they're going to get this done, so they're not ending it under this caution, and it'll be a 1 lap shootout. Which, my goodness, if you thought the pressure was building before, it's going to get intense.
Well, Steven Dombrowski checked in. We have Chewy saying, "Woo, Ronnie." Certainly, Ronnie Norman with some fans out there, but Dombrowski saying it was a decent strategy. Fuel mileage is a big key here. I mean, we were getting close to the point. I mean, were you saying that for some of these drivers, if this stayed green, they were going to have to make a pit stop?
Yeah, they were basically on fumes, like with lap 30 coming. But now with this caution, everyone's able to save enough fuel for the stage, and they'll be absolutely fine. But yeah, it was going to be really close. Everyone was saying anywhere between like 25 to 30 laps, depending on how much you saved in the draft. But 26 was basically the number that everyone gave. But it was possible to get to 30 with saving.
Well, as a result, everybody has been able to take on fuel and tires if they so chose. To me, it looks like everybody who did stop took on fresh tires, predominantly to get ready for the second stage coming up here. So with that, we're going to take a momentary commercial on VirtualRacing.Network. We'll be right back here with the conclusion of Stage 2. You will not want to miss that. We'll be right back. Welcome back here on VirtualRacing.Network. You're watching an exciting one as we are here for the Icon Cup Series playoffs, round number 2 of the round of 12. And we're just about to see the conclusion of stage number 1. And with 25 cars still on this lead lap, it is anybody's stage. It could come from the back to the front. We will see here momentarily. This pace truck pulls off. We're about to get rolling again here. And it's going to be Justin Michael and Adam Ball at the front of this one.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, with only the top 5 points paying, there's 4 guys that are in this championship hunt. Now 5 guys in the top 5. So this is capitalizing when you need to as the green flag back out in the air here at Talladega. And we got 1 lap until the white flag in the stage. So this is basically a green-white checkered for the stage. And you can see the outside kind of working right now. Adam Ball going to get a push from Nathan Finnegan, and that's going to give him the lead. Justin Michael, he's begging for help, but no one there on the inside to help him. The outside just mowing by him.
Yeah, that is some amazing speed differential there. Justin Michael absolutely left for dead. Now here comes Adam Ball, who's covering Nathan Finnegan, his teammate there at Collar City Racing. Both these drivers in this championship in the playoffs
here.
Got a
run producing on the outside there. Justin Michael getting pushed from, I believe that's Jacob Gladelich. Or no, that's Ryan Patty, but Jacob Gladelich from the bottom up to the top now.
What a big
on the outside of Bissonette.
Huge run for Jacob Gladelich. Unfortunately, not really able to sustain that momentum, and he's starting to fall back a little bit. Looks like Brendan Jinks got up into there as well, but right now Adam Ball holding on to the lead in this group.
It looked like Jennings just moved out to the outside there to try to get a run, but contact with Taylor. They're 3 wide now. Purcell with Jacob Gladelich. I think this is going to be a wreck. They save it. My goodness, here comes Patty. Patty's got to be smart here. He's got to check up. He doesn't. Vincent Gloria turns him.
Absolutely huge hit. Justin Michael is involved. Ryan Patty, Patty had a monster run, and unfortunately, Christian, it's also involving your driver, Jacob Gladelich, who had just gotten up there into the top 5.
Yeah, I think Vincent Loria didn't realize that Patty had cars in front of him, and Loria just kept pushing and pushing, and you could see that Patty let off the gas, but Vincent Loria didn't get the memo and shoved him right into this. So we'll hop on board here and we'll watch from, I believe, Justin Michael here, but it's going to happen behind him. Patty's going to come up, and you'll see what happens here. Here he comes with the momentum. He starts lifting, but Loria doesn't, turns him right. It's on from there.
Well, and something happens with Purcell and Jennings, who almost make contacts just up in front, and yet at the same time, Patty coming up through the field. That was a huge, huge hit. Adam Ball, Nathan Finnegan, Ronnie Norman, Justin Bissonette, and Anthony Campbell hanging on there and getting in the top 5 for that stage. Let's go ahead and take a look at it from a couple of different drivers' points of view. Here was Ryan Patty as he approached this incident. You're going to see him approach with a very high rate of speed here, and it got down into that middle line, Christian. There's nowhere to go.
Yeah, you could hear him lift out of the throttle, but his rear tires were off the ground, and he gets hooked up to the right. So riding on board, though, with Vincent Loria, you're not going to be able to see ahead of Ryan Patty at all. So he had no idea this was happening. So we'll ride on board now with Vincent Loria and see what he sees. And I'm going to tell you, it's not going to be much. This camera is a little higher than what he's able to see, so all he can see right now is the spoiler. He doesn't see that they're checking up in front of him and just turns Patty.
Indeed, that was a monster hit for Patty.
Oh yeah, all 4 tires off the ground. The radiator is probably destroyed in that 30 car. But he's got a lot of cushion to the cutoff. He's 29 points to the good going into the final race. So if this does end his night, he does have a good amount of points. So hopefully he's able to fall back on those. But you can see Cody Height gets a piece of this. I believe Justin Michael as well. So with them getting caught up in this, it's going to help Patty in his cushion to the cutoff. But riding on board with Mike Jennings, he has a hard hit too, I believe. Here he is, just riding along and gets tapped from behind. Yeah, hard hit into the outside wall there. Right front comes apart. Pieces are falling off. This is what happens at Talladega, though. You know, it's coming to a points-paying lap, and you just got to give it everything you got. And unfortunately, this happens.
Well, you got to pick and choose the right lane. You got to pick who your friends are, and sometimes they choose for you. A lot of drivers already so far have tasted some concrete, but fortunately, many of them have recovered. In fact, looks like we're going to get at least the top 24 is going to rejoin, but unfortunately, this is the head honcho here in the Icon Cup Series, and he's also one of the top drivers in the championship, and it looks like his night might be, if it's not over, oh, he does continue, so he did not end up popping that engine, but that is, Christian, that's not how it was designed, that car.
Yeah.
It's definitely suffered some rearrangement of its front end.
Yeah, definitely pushed in a little bit too far for the manufacturer's liking.
So you never know. Sometimes you hit the car a little bit, damage it, but it tweaks the bodywork in just such a way that you gain a little bit of an advantage. So you always hope for that. You look for the silver lining in these types of incidents. But
Man, I tell you what, certainly not here. You need every bit of arrow here. You've seen it in real life where cars can get into incidents and still manage to have something good in... Oh, we got an issue here. Someone out of fuel.
oh my. Well,
Someone's dropping through the middle of the field there out of fuel, possibly?
I believe it's Vincent Loria, but he may just be dropping to the back of the pack.
They might have deemed that the caution was on him and that he got the penalty, but someone was giving him the business. The whole corner has now he pulls up ahead of people. You know, I'm not sure what's going on. Here he comes back to get his position, I guess. Alrighty.
Well, with that, looks like we're just about to head into the second stage, to the completion of this race. And as you mentioned, Christian, if we can manage to go green flag racing until the end of this one, it's going to bring up some very interesting pit strategies that we'll have to play out. And certainly, decisions on tires. Do you take just 2 tires? It could save you several seconds, and that could be the difference between winning and losing here tonight. But we'll find out over the long run. Everybody sticking around with us here on YouTube, we appreciate it. Once again, if you're not already subscribed, make sure to smash that subscribe button and hit the like button if you can. And we're about ready to get second stage going. We're underway once again here at Talladega. Cody Neal leads this group back to the green flag, and Vincent Loria moves in down below. That's 313 Motorsports, 1-2. And Brendan Jinks back up into this top 5 for full send. His teammate Mark Morton back into that top 5 as well.
Yeah, and I tell you what, with this stage, we went green here with 61 to go, and with fuel being about 29 laps, these guys might have to pit twice unless they save a significant amount of fuel. They're going to need about 31 and then 30 laps on both runs, so it's going to be constant fuel saving. So that's why you see such big gaps right now between Jenks and the car in front of them. These guys do not want to go full throttle right now. They're going to save. I don't know if we have telemetry to show the RPMs or the fuel, or the throttle on how hard it's pushed. I don't think we do, but if we did, you would see that these guys are about 75 to 60% throttle around this entire track right now, and that's why you see these guys going around like it's nothing on the outside, clearly not saving fuel. Brad Delph and Nathan Finnegan to the front.
Absolutely sailing by Cody Neal, bringing about a 4-car train on by. Kevin Gunther now shown up into second place. Jackson Glenn Austin there as well. Nathan Finnegan tucks down into the low line. But no, unfortunately, they don't want to give you that information off of other drivers in real time with their inputs and that kind of thing. Best thing that we can do is see the RPMs from on board. We go to this camera, you can see who's and honestly, it's more of like even an audible thing. You can just hear who lifts and who doesn't, who's kind of like halfway in the throttle and who isn't. But as you take a look back here at Bissonette, he's fully in the throttle at this point, but you would drop to somebody else who's maybe a little bit further back. Take a look here at Sean Purcell, and he's probably going to be saving a little bit of fuel by taking his foot out of the throttle as much as he can, following around behind. Now, it's easier said than done, the technique of saving fuel by taking your foot out of the throttle, but essentially the easiest thing to do is to get a run on the driver in front of you and then just kind of allow your car to kind of coast a little bit and keep doing that. And the more that you can coast, the less fuel that you're using by being on that accelerator. And of course, you can try this out. If you're not an iRacer, you can try this out on the highway by getting up behind a semi and just taking your foot out of the throttle. Well, it's absolutely true.
Yeah, the best way to describe it for those at home that have never raced on iRacing, basically, your car has cruise control. Imagine a car that doesn't have cruise control. You got to constantly work the throttle to gain RPM, lower RPM on the highway. You're constantly changing speed. That's what these guys are doing in the draft. And whenever you get behind that truck, you don't have to push the gas pedal as much as you do. So I was about to say that, and you beat me to it. Well,
definitely thinking alike here on VirtualRacing.Network. We've been doing enough broadcasts together, but certainly it's an art. I come from a lot more of the IndyCar side. I've done quite a bit of the NASCAR stock car side as well, but the IndyCars are really interesting because you have a fuel map that you can adjust in real time. Unfortunately, they don't give you that tool in the cockpit to use here, but it is an interesting thing. It would be great to see if they could bring that into NASCAR. It would certainly, because basically you can lean the car out in real time and go into super fuel save mode, which is one way to stretch your fuel tank over everyone else. But nevertheless, everybody's got the same equipment here. They have the same in-cockpit tools to use. And, really, there's nothing better than your right foot for determining whether you make it to the end of this one on one stop or not.
Well, in real life, they do have something that iRacing doesn't have yet, and that's the backup reserve tank that they have in real life. They flip a switch, and that gives them an extra lap and a half of fuel to make it around to the pits, and they use that typically in real life. Every race, they use it to just get that extra lap of fuel that they need. So something that hasn't been implemented into iRacing. I'm sure someday it will, but hasn't been yet. But something that real life uses that is really crucial.
Certainly. It's, I'm sure when they do the next car, they'll try to work as much of that stuff in there as possible. Obviously, they're working off of, what is it now, like 15, 18-year-old technology with this game engine, so it's always tricky for them to bring new stuff forward. But you never know what the folks over at iRacing will bring forward. And in the meantime, again, it's just like real-life racing. Everybody's got to deal with the same thing. Everybody's got the same tricks that you can use in your car. So you try to maximize what you got. And, one of those things is, let's talk about two of the things that you could have tonight. We know that at least one of the drivers on your team has a live spotter. And that is a huge advantage at a track like this. Some of the drivers are going to have a real-life live spotter, a real person who will be able to give them real-time information about the drivers in front and behind and their positioning. That is a huge advantage, Christian.
Yeah, it's definitely huge. Some leagues have outlawed it because not everybody can go out and get a spotter to be an advantage. But I believe one of my drivers tonight had one. I don't see him in Discord anymore, so he might have left. But yeah, what the real life spotter can do instead of the iRacing spotter, he can let you know where runs are coming from behind. He can let you know which lane's working better, how close you are to the car, or the car in front of you is to the car in front of him, because you can't see that whenever you're behind the wheel, and your iRacing spotter certainly can't tell you that either. So the live spotter is always such a big benefit here at these plate races.
And that's a huge advantage. Of course, the iRacing built-in spotter is pretty cool. It does sort of work, but at a lot of times it'll make the incorrect call as to whether you're clear of a driver in front, as we see Jackson Glenn Austin for Peak Performance Motorsport taking over the lead of this one. And he's got Brendan Jenks and Mark Morton for Full Send Esports in tow. And now here comes Adam Ball on the low line, trying to work his way forward in that number 19 car. But not too many tools that these drivers can use. But as you see, Thomas Taylor now breaking free of that high line and pulling it down onto the low line. He's going to try to move forward.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. I said it earlier, the outside lane, it's just such a benefit to run up on the outside. You get the momentum coming off the corner that the inside is just non-existent. So earlier I said if I'm leading that outside lane, I'm not dropping out of it and I'm not going to the bottom. I'm just going to rely on the guy behind me to stay behind me and just push me the rest of the way. We see it all the time in real life whenever it gets single file up against the wall. And that's because whenever you pull down to the bottom, there's just nothing you can do. And you can see Thomas Taylor, he goes from second the whole way back to 7th or 8th now. Wow. Now we're going to see Stephen Tuck do it.
Stephen Tuck tries to do the same thing, and he has the same exact result. Immediately falling backwards in a hurry as that outside lane continues its dominance in this race. But Jackson Glenn Austin up 24 spots. Jason Haviland also right now in this 4th position. As you can see in that Hendrick Cars machine, he's up 20 spots as well as he dives down to that low line. I guess nobody's really getting the hint that that low line is not the desired line to be in at the moment, but they continue to try to come down and cover the rest of the field. Jackson Glenn Austin says, thank you very much, but I'll just stay up here on the top.
Yeah, and our fans in the YouTube chat that have been here since, I believe, March we started, they'll probably see that Hendrick Cars scheme, and they're thinking, is that Josh Conover out there in that car? But no, it's not. It is someone just using a similar paint scheme, but it's tricking my eyes. Every once in a while I want to say, oh, Josh Conover did the inside, but no. It's definitely not him.
When I pulled up practice, that was my very first thought is like, oh, is Josh racing tonight? But I know we've even had that issue during NORA races where he doesn't actually end up racing in that car and it's someone else, and we just want to call that car to be him. But that's how great it is when some of these drivers choose the same livery, and it's distinctive, it's iconic, and you get used to seeing them in it. And it's like, for whatever it's worth, I look back at Justin Bissonnette in that yellow Corvette livery. It's nobody else has a bright yellow livery. The moment I see that livery on the track, I know it's Justin Bissonnette. There's no question about it. A number of the drivers, they do, of course, swap in and out each and every race, different paint schemes, so it can be a little tricky to get used to which paint scheme that you're looking at and what the driver is that's using it. But it does get to be great when some of these drivers use it for the same race over and over again. Nathan Finnegan, of course, with that University of Rhode Island paint scheme, very distinctive. As soon as you see that blue and black and white machine, you instantly know it's Finnegan. So
same with that big WV behind him.
Yep.
If you see West Virginia, you know it's Justin Michael.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and that's been so much fun here in 2023 to see these drivers. You get so used to everybody. By the end of the season, you get used to their cars, their names, how they race, what their tendencies are. And it's been a lot of fun. We hope everybody out there who's been watching along with us, it's been our proud pleasure to bring you the Icon Cup Series debut season, inaugural season, right here on VirtualRacing.Network. But we've got a great race going on here. We're in the second round of the playoffs. Jackson Glenn Austin still holding on to the lead, but it looks like Jamison Haviland now on that low line. Is he finally getting enough help to make that work?
Yeah, I was going to mention earlier that the inside lane's starting to finally work, and I don't know if it's because of who's leading it or if it's because of who's in second pushing him, but they are having a good run right now. As you can see, Haviland taking the lead momentarily, but again, here comes a good run, and now you see Nathan Finnegan jumping up and making a third line there. That's going to slow down the middle lane and allow the inside lane to pull ahead of them more than likely, with him breaking up that draft there.
Well, there is certainly room for 3 lanes. There technically you could probably run 4, but that's dangerous territory to think about doing that anywhere except the backstretch. But
they tried 5 wide in real life today, and it did not work out.
No. Aggression is really not well rewarded at a track like this. Things just moving too fast out here. It's definitely better to be slightly safer at a track like this and make calculated moves if possible. But the positions are swapping very quickly at the front. Jackson Glenn Austin still holding on, but there's Jamison Haviland neck and neck trying to race for that top spot. And then you can see just behind Stephen Tuck and Brendan Jenks, Thomas Taylor, Mark Morton in this group as well.
Oh, man, that was close. It looked like Stephen Tuck gave the 25 a little bump mid-corner. It put the 25 on the apron momentarily, but he did a good job saving it. that allowed Jackson Glenn Austin to take the lead here momentarily and lead that lap.
Well, absolutely fantastic racing we've seen thus far. And we are well over halfway now. Working on lap number 50 of 94. So some of these drivers coming in right at that 31 to 32 lap mark. So we'll be looking here in another 10 laps to see some of these drivers making green flag stops. You can see still continuing Jackson Glenn Austin holding the front of this race in very impressive form. And Christian, Glenn Austin has been fast. He kind of came in and made a splash real early. He hasn't been able to be there at the end and take a victory or anything, but right now he's showing that he knows what he's doing here at the front of this race at a plate track.
Yeah, he's making me take some notes for tomorrow. I definitely think the outside is going to be the place for trucks too tomorrow. So I'm kind of using Icon here up in the booth to take some notes.
Well, and we've seen that so many times. We have the beautiful fortune here on VirtualRacing.Network of covering both the Icon Cup Series, and then, they follow the real-life schedule. Monday nights, the NORA Truck Series follows the real-life schedule, and the NORA Cup Series on Tuesday nights follows the real-life schedule. So as a result, we typically get to see a lot of times the same track 3 times in a row. And as anybody who's out there watching from NORA right now, they're taking notes. They're keeping tabs on what's working, what's not working. And this is league racing. It's a chance to really study how iRacing works with these NASCAR next-gen cars. And the trucks are going to be kind of similar, but probably a little different tomorrow night. They do handle a little bit differently than these Cup cars.
Yeah, they definitely handle different, and they also handle the draft different. You can kind of make more moves with the truck than you can with these cars. Instead of the brick wall of air you can kind of get a little bit of runs with the trucks, but you can see everything starting to go back single file, and these guys may be going into fuel saving mode here. But I think it's a little too late to go into fuel saving, because these guys were going to have to go 62 laps, I believe. We went green, maybe 61 to go. They're going to have to pit probably here by lap 63. We should start seeing some pits. And that would leave about 31 to go. And fuel is about 29 laps, so man, it's going to be close. It's going to be a fuel strategy race at the end.
It is going to be very interesting. In the meantime, a lot of these drivers picking and choosing their lanes like a sort cone on the backstretch, as they are now, it looked like they were following Nathan Finnegan to the front on that outside lane, but now it looks like on the inside is where to be once again. So it's now Jackson Glenn Austin and Stephen Tuck who have run off the front, with Thomas Taylor about 9 or 10 car lengths back, and Nathan Finnegan filing into 4th place there.
Yeah, from the looks of it, Jackson Glenn Austin and Stephen Tuck are thinking that it's not even worth saving fuel. They think that we're probably going to get a caution, so that will be their opportunity to save fuel. But the way it's going right now, we're single file. No one's getting too racy, so I don't see a caution coming until possibly pit stops. We know how wild green flag pit stops can be. We see like them fanning out 6-7 wide coming into pit road, and they all have to get back together and get single file in a short amount of time. So we'll have to see how they handle green flag pit stops. We haven't seen many at plate races this season because of how short these races are. Only 94 laps instead of the 188 we saw today in real life.
Yeah, definitely a major difference there. But one interesting point of note, Jacob Gladelich and Ryan Patty, you saw them involved in that incident earlier. They are now just trying to pray for a caution to come out, and they'll stay on the lead lap. But in the meantime, you can hear the field coming in the background. It's only a matter of time until that big pack arrives on their back porch. They're trying to stay working together to try to get ahead of that group, but it's only a matter of time here, Christian, before they go sailing on by.
And important to note, I don't see too many cars out there with pink schemes, but October, obviously, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so some of these guys have some pink on their cars to show their support. One of those is the 55 with the Breast Cancer Awareness Scheme, so good shout out to put that on some people's cars this month. We typically always see it in real life, and these guys are taking advantage of that on iRacing here.
Of course, one of the great awareness causes, lymphoma being another one here that we've already covered, but always great when these drivers can bring out these awareness causes and bring a little bit of extra awareness into everyone's peripheral. As we see, it looks like they will get swallowed up here for Gladelich and Patty before this one turns yellow. Stephen Tuck now shown at the front of this one as Glenn Austin chose the high line, and looks like the high line is sort of slowing down maybe a little bit, or maybe it's going to challenge back here. We'll see. Thomas Taylor in that bright green car now into second. Well, he was for a moment, but now he's back to fourth. It changes so rapidly here. And Patty and Gladelich about to go down a lap to the rest of the field. We watch, and I'm sure it's only a moment now before they work their way around.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how these guys handle them. It looks like Stephen Tuck going to just check up and let them join in, but these guys are significantly off the pace. At least the 30 is. He's got a heavy damage to the front end, but I think Gladelich is okay. He's just been off the pace to let Patty draft with him.
And Christian, I don't know how this is exactly possible. Because right before that caution came out previously, we saw Hanover Fist almost go a lap down, and then he was pitting. And I guess he somehow stayed ahead of the curve and was able to get back out there on the lead lap, because he's now in 6th place in this race.
Yeah, what a great recovery for losing the draft early in this one. The caution comes out, allows him to catch up, get his lap back, and now he's in this fight for the win at the end of it. But we have a caution on the speedway. Have to see who it was here. Looks like it's behind Gunther. Cameron Thompson, maybe?
I show Gunther being involved, but he's now in the pits. Bissonette.
Oh, Bissonette. Yep.
Bissonette involved. Anthony Campbell maybe involved. Tim Harper, I believe, also involved. Let's take a look at this one. I showed Thomas Taylor had just entered pit lane, so I'm not sure. We'll have to let this one play out and see exactly what went down here. Was he just avoiding? He was
slowing down to come into the pits and did not pull off the track. He was slowing down on the track instead.
That's not the way to do it. We'll watch this one more time. Looking out the back of Thomas Taylor's machine.
Yeah, you never get on the brakes when you're on the track. Get below the yellow line first, then get on the brakes. My goodness. This is going to take out quite a few cars that were in the playoffs. You just can't do this late into the season.
Well, and this is what Bissonette saw. Just no way to react to that.
Oh, yeah, that's just a rookie mistake, and then Gunther comes along and just T-bones Bissonette and sends him airborne.
Well, you know who we're going to ride with now.
Yeah.
So unfortunate for a number of these drivers, and it also robs us of seeing those green flag stops, which could have been so interesting.
Oh man! Wow. If you ride on the cockpit view for Kevin, you're going to see that he had no idea at all that Bissonette was on that track here. So this is his view right here. You can already see that it's very narrow. You can't really see very well out of these cars, and you see something happening. He's checking up, what's going on. Oh, there's a car there. And there's just nothing that you can do once you see a car stopped on the track in front of you. You just gotta let off the wheel and slam on the brakes and hope that your engine doesn't pop.
Well, and that is another place we were talking about the advantage of having a live spotter. That is another place where having a live spotter might pay off, is they could let you know where there is a car sitting on the track. This is riding with Tim Harper. It says he had an off track. Did he just avoid, or did he make contact?
Looks like he's gonna just avoid, go through the grass there, but if you're a spotter in that situation, watching Tim there, you're going to say, spin it up high, go low, and you're going to tell him to go low until finally he's clear of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something you get from a live spotter. I've had my fair share being a spotter for Ronnie Norman for a number of years, and he tells me I'm one of the best at it. So live spotter is definitely important.
Well, certainly. It's also a great way to help out your teammates. So with that, we're going to take a momentary break here on VirtualRacing.Network. We're going to try to get back with a driver interview. We'll be right back here. Stay tuned. And welcome back here on VirtualRacing.Network. You're watching live coverage of the Icon Cup Series playoffs. We're in round number 2 at the Talladega Super Speedway. And it's been an exciting race so far. We're under caution here for the second time. And we now have a chance to chat with one of our drivers out there on the track. It's Vincent Loria, the driver of the number 67 for 313 Motorsports. Vincent, this is Trevor Greenfield here in the booth. You got me?
Yes, sir.
Hey, man. So it's exciting first stage. And now this second stage, you know, you were up there in the top 5. You've been up in the top 10 for most of the race. What's your thoughts here on this race? And you got a shot there with the number 67.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think I got a shot. You know, I finished P3 at Daytona earlier this season, so I think I got a shot at the plate track for sure. I mean, the only thing that I'm worried about right now is just fuel. I mean, that was we were about 3 or 4 laps from pitting there, and the fuel window is about 30 laps. So we're going to be cutting it really close on fuel here. So we'll see how everything shakes out.
So as a result, no reason to come in and top off here?
So I came in the second time to top off, and now I'm kind of saving. You know, right now my crew chief's telling me I got 33 laps of fuel, and there's about 33 laps to go. So
well, good luck to you, my friend. I know you got a race now, so we'll let you go, but good luck.
All right, appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
So that's Vincent Loria, and we're back under green here. He's going to be restarting about 14th place. Stephen Tuck taking over the lead there on that caution. Hanover Fist in second, Nathan Finnegan in third, Jameson Haviland in fourth, and Justin Bissonette in fifth place. And they run single file here, getting going again. Christian, he's sweating bullets right now on this fuel strategy.
I think everybody in this field is sweating bullets on this fuel strategy. The reason we didn't realize it was going green is because everyone was single file. And that wasn't because they set this to a single file restart. That's because everybody in the field came back in to top off on fuel. So that's what happened. Everyone was topping off, and whenever you do that, it automatically puts you on the inside lane. So yeah, these guys are all worried about fuel.
Well,
and
we
all of
also
them top
love
off.
doing these in-car interviews during the race, and
Yeah.
we try to be respectful when they're in the middle of pitting, because pitting can take a little bit of focus. As we see Tuck just pulled down to the inside, looks like he's going to let a number of these drivers go right on by. He's realized he can't afford to run out there in the clean air by himself.
Exactly. The worst part, or the worst spot on this track to be right now, is the leader. You don't have any way to save fuel when you're the leader. I mean, you can let off the gas, but it's not as good as whenever you're in the draft and you're able to go a little bit faster and let off the gas even more. So when Morton lets off the gas, everyone slows down in this entire field. So he really can't lift too much.
It's going to be really funny. This could turn into a situation where you get a lot of drivers who just decide to pull over and let someone else go through. You may have a lot of people saying, "No, you can be in the lead. No, you can be in the lead. No, you can be in the lead." So we'll see. Right now, Mark Morton okay to stay out there in the front. I've led some of these races too, where it's clearly a fuel-saving race, and even when you're fuel saving and you're taking your foot out of the throttle, the rest of the field may be doing exactly the same thing, to the point where you are slowing down as much as 5 or 10 miles an hour on the straights, but nobody wants to pass you. And there you see Morton pulling
here we
over.
go. Yeah, I was going to say, with having teammates, it's actually better. What Morton could have done was lead a few laps, let Jenks save some fuel, and then let Jenks take a lead and let Morton save some fuel. So whenever you have a teammate, it can happen that way, that you take turns kind of saving fuel. But clearly Morton just going to the back and going full save mode here.
Well, and a lot of drivers going to choose to do that. Vincent Loria, who we were just talking to a moment ago, has now worked his way up into 8th place. And this is a great time, if you want to come forward, because if you feel like you don't need to save quite as much, or if you've started this and you were in the back, you got in a lot of great fuel savings and you want to reposition yourself, right now is the time to do it. Nobody's going to fight you. You can make whatever passes you want on the track. So we'll see who saves the best fuel, or whether this even ends up... I mean, that's another thing. You know, a lot of these drivers, everybody in the field, gambling on black right now. But
I know exactly where you're going with this. Some of them should be gambling with yellow. They should put their all their chips on yellow, because caution changes everything here.
Exactly. And why not position yourself up at the front? Makes it the easiest when you come in during that caution to get back out in the front. And who knows? I mean, if the caution comes out with 5, 6, 11 laps to go, why have to fight your way all the way back up to the front from the back? Why not position yourself at the front? So, you know, again, so much different strategy to play out. Right now, Thomas Taylor's strategy is to sit out in front. Is this a smart move? We'll find out as we crank through this one. Still a ways to go to decide it, as we're on lap number 67 of 94. Again, welcome to everybody watching us live over in YouTube. Feel free to say hello. Love to give you a shout out live on the air, and let us know who you're rooting on in the field. If you've got a favorite paint scheme, you got a favorite driver, favorite team, or if you're new to watching Icon Cup Series, you're getting to see some pretty amazing plate racing at a very high level right here tonight on VirtualRacing.Network. And once again, as a reminder, you're going to want to subscribe, because we've got 2 more series coming up here Monday night and Tuesday night. The NORA Truck Series tomorrow night in the playoffs at Talladega. Christian Snyder, my commentator tonight, will be out there racing tomorrow night, and he'll be a driving reporter for us. And then Tuesday night, NORA Cup Series back here with the NASCAR Next Gen machines. Should be very exciting. 3 nights of plate racing action here. And it looks like some of the field's starting to gang up in the middle here. We've got Cody Neal leading this group forward for 313 Motorsports on the outside. So he's I think he heard what we were saying, and he says, you know what, maybe I will gamble a little bit here. Look at these passes, Christian.
It's so easy to just want to go up there to the outside. You know, that as soon as you pull up, you're going to the lead, and you can see just how much that Thomas Taylor was saving being up there in front. He wasn't full throttle, clearly, because as soon as Cody Neal went full throttle, straight to the front he went. As you see, Justin Michael, he's going to drop in behind Cody Neal there. Looks like Jacob Gladelish going to drop down to the bottom as well. I believe that's Cameron Thompson and Campbell as well up in the front.
Absolutely, Anthony Campbell now to the front. We haven't seen any of Campbell's crew joining us over in the YouTube chat room, but
yeah, I was going to say they usually say why gamble when you got Campbell, and he's gambling right now.
He is gambling, but I think we know what he had for dinner, and seems like it seems to be working. Of course, we also know what Cameron Thompson had for dinner, and that's on board.
That's working too.
It seems to be working too. He forgot to change his number, which just tells you how much he had for dinner. But either way, he's holding on well out there in second place. And Christian, didn't Gladelish go a lap down?
He did. He got the wave around and was able to be back on the lead lap, and now he's sitting in third place. So good rebound for Jacob Gladelish there in that 55 breast cancer awareness machine.
Well, you'd have to assume that, but see, now Patty did not get the wave around. So
yeah, and that's unfortunate. You know, Gladelish was helping Patty, and as soon as they got lapped, Gladelish was able to stay ahead of Patty when the caution came out, and Patty gets the short end of the stick and is still one lap down. But another caution, he'll be back on the lead lap. His car not doing too bad. If we go to him, he's actually in this line about 12 cars in. So he's in the pack, and he's doing a really good job staying up there.
Well, and he is the first car a lap down now, so if, as you said, if there's a caution, he will get that wave around and everything will be straightened out for him. But that is amazing. Yeah, if we can get a close-up now, wow. I mean, that team at Detach House of Speed, I don't know if they've got like a jig out there on pit lane and they're able to just get this thing pounded out immediately, but the only thing I see is this little gap there in the hood.
Yeah, they did a fantastic job, and I don't think these guys had fast repairs for this race. I know they did it Daytona, but I don't think they did it for Dega. So to have the car repaired from what it was to what it is now, that is an incredible job by that number 30 pit crew.
No, and you can still see that gap in the hood, so we know that a fast repair was not done, but I agree with you. Give that man with the big sledge a raise there at the Detach House of Speed, because that's precision. You know, we used to call, when I used to do a little bit of racing, we used to call the big sledge, the 20-pound sledge, a gap setter. So get out the gap setter when you get some big damage like that. Anthony Campbell in the lead here for how long? That is the question. 22 laps remaining. And Cameron Thompson sitting in second, Gladelish in third, Cody Neal in fourth. All of these drivers trying to do a massive fuel save, anticipating that we're going to go green until the end. Now, if we do go green until the end, I guarantee you some of these drivers will not make it on fuel. It's just that close. You would have had to be really aggressively saving fuel. So some of these drivers who have not will be falling off or having to take pit stops. And it will be very interesting to see who is the best fuel saver in this field. Will we make it to there? Will there be a caution ahead of time? I mean, I'm not a betting man, but I would say there's a pretty good chance we could possibly see a caution before we get to that point. We'll find out here before too long. Nathan Finnegan, last week's winner, right now smack dab in the middle in 12th place. Looking on and trying to size this one up, figure out exactly where he wants to position himself for the end of this one. Just about to come to 20 laps to go. And we take a look over Steven Dombrowski sitting out there watching on YouTube. Here's his driver, the number 18 for Ronnie Norman, and he, Cody Height, and Tim Harper, all three teammates running basically nose to tail out there. Sometimes that's a good idea. Sometimes that means that all three of you might get wiped out in an incident, but just trying to work together and stay safe and work their way through the next 10 or so laps before they can start really making a push to get up there to the front, if that's what they're going to do. I mean, eventually, Christian, you do have to start pushing your car to the front. Even if you're trying to save fuel, eventually you got to start trying to position yourself.
And you can see two guys that have said, you know what, it's enough, we need to get up to the front, is the brothers, the Purcell brothers, Sean and Kyle, up on the outside trying to get up to the lead. Number 04 there, the Bluey machine of Sean, and then we've got the kickstart machine for the 01 of Kyle. And they have driven the whole way from about 15th up to the lead by just going up to that outside lane.
Well, and they have now, as you said, driven right by Anthony Campbell, and they're going to take over the point of this race. Sean Purcell in front, second place, Kyle Purcell.
Now you can see Jackson Glenn Austin. He's been, I tell you what, he's been up on the outside more than he has the inside this entire race. Every time that you see someone up there on the outside, it's usually that 11 car. And now he's making a push for the front. He thinks he's got enough fuel to save, or saved up to make it to the end, or either that, he says, you know what, I'm not going to be able to save, so I'm just going to go to the front and hope for a caution.
Yeah, I mean, again, there comes a certain point where you're doing the fuel calculations and you're saying, I can make it or I can't make it. I mean, you know how much you can save. You know the fuel numbers that you're getting back each and every lap. It may be a fool's mission, a fool's errand to run to try to save the amount of fuel that you need by the end of this one. It could be that you've got enough in hand, you feel comfortable, but at the same time, you might realize, hey, there's just no way to save it. I'm going to go up and try and be in the front of this. I'm going to try to be in position if we do end up with a yellow flag. Or, you know, I want to be at the front if we have green flag stops happening. I want to be one of the first ones to come in and not be like how we saw Justin Bissonnette running into Thomas Taylor as he tried to get into the pits. I don't want to get caught up in that. I don't want to deal with other drivers trying to come into the pits. I want to be in the front and lead everybody into the pits.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag of strategies here at the end, and you know, I don't know which one's going to be the best. I still think that saving max amount of fuel is the best, because even with those pit stops, if a caution doesn't come out and you can stretch it the whole way, you're going to win by about 40 seconds. So it's definitely worth it to save enough fuel. I know me personally, I absolutely love fuel saving. I consider myself really good at it, but I have lost a couple of fuel strategy races too. But all three of my wins in NORA, I think, came on fuel strategy. So,
well, some drivers, again, you have to gamble on red or you have to gamble on black, and some people choose to gamble on just being the fastest that you can be and let everything else work itself out. Some people, when you've got the chance to do a fuel save strategy, knowing that that's a possibility, just by default, that's the choice that you make. You maximize your fuel saving, you run around at the back, you take your foot out as much as you can. And, you know, everybody has their own preference in what you want to run. And certainly we're watching right now as the Chicagoland Racing teammates have made their choice to run at the front of this group, as we are well under 20 laps to go. So rapidly ticking down, and we're going to start seeing some of these other drivers who feel like they did save enough fuel, or just decide, hey, look, I don't care if I save enough. I think there's going to be a caution before the end of this. I'm going to the front. See you later, everyone else. I am going to position myself for the end of this race. So we're going to see now some of those drivers coming forward. Look back here as Thomas Taylor is now following Stephen Tuck on that outside lane. I don't know. I don't think they have enough support to try to make it there. We might see Tuck drop back there behind Gladilich before too long.
I can tell you exactly who in this field is saving and who's not. Everyone from Jackson Glenn Austin to the front, they have decided that they can't save enough fuel to make it to the end of this race. So they're going from now to the end. But everyone from Delph on back are saving fuel. So the top 9 are going to the end. They have made their bed. They're probably going to have to pit before this end of the race. But everyone 10th on back, saving as much as they can right now.
Well, everybody's still in a line right now, and I think you're going to see possibly a second group start to fall off the back of this one, where you might have some drivers really choosing to get aggressive with that fuel saving. We see that Justin Bissonnette has kind of dropped back to be by himself. I don't know if that's what he's going for way back here, is to just try to drop as much fuel saving as he can. But also you see Hanover Fist, Evan Patinko, and Ryan Patty in this group right now. And you've got to go 3.4 seconds ahead of that group to get to Vincent Loria, and he is the last one right now in this lead group. So some different strategies playing out right now. We've got the super fuel saving group that has dropped back 3.4 seconds now. They have no hope of rejoining this group here at the front. This is going to be one heck of a finish here, Christian, and it's going to be interesting to see who ends up winning this race.
Yeah, I think the best position to be is the last 5 or 6 cars in this line, because you're off the throttle the most and able to get a pull from everyone ahead of you. But you can see that it is starting to break up. Right there where I said Delph is starting to lose Glenn Austin a little bit because he's still in fuel-saving mode. And behind him, they are really in fuel-saving mode because they have lost Brad Delph. So the top 10 have kind of pulled away. Cody Neal dropped back a little bit, and now the problem with this is he's going to have to go. He can't lose those guys. He's got to get up there and get a sniff of their draft and be able to pull up to the front, because on the off chance that one of those guys is saving fuel, Cody Neal might have trouble getting by.
Well, we rapidly tick down the laps, soon to be 10 to go, right now sitting at 12. Cody Neal leading the second group, and there is quite a few cars in here. This is Neal, Michael, Jenks, Ball, Finnegan, and Morton in this group. Also Cody Height right there. Tim Harper, Ron Norman, and Vincent Loria in this group. It is a big question as to who is going to be able to pull this one out. Sean Purcell, in the meantime, still happy to tick off laps in the lead with his brother Kyle Purcell as his tail gunner. Anthony Campbell holding on to third spot. Cameron Thompson in fourth. Jacob Gladelich in fifth spot. And this one is going to come down to a fuel-saving race. Did these drivers at the front save enough fuel? Probably not. They're probably going to have to make a pit stop. If a yellow is to come out, they're in the perfect position to take advantage and make it into the pits, get fresh tires, get the fuel that they need, and come back out. However, these other drivers that have saved enough, I mean, there's that question too. If you're gambling on the yellow, how do you would know how much you can save under the yellow as well. And then, of course, Christian, you've always got to ask yourself, is it going to go green, white, checkered at the end? Because you do need a little bit extra for that as well.
Yeah, if it goes green, white, checkered, these guys are all going to have to pit to get fuel. They do not have enough for a green, white, checkered, but some of them might have enough for the end. We'll have to see. And I mean, we got 10 laps left, so it's getting down to crunch time. Those guys who have been saving, they're going to have to get up to the front here soon.
Well, in a championship update, take a look at the scoring tower to your left-hand side. Where are the championship contenders? Well, you got Sean Purcell, who's the championship contender. He's in the lead, but there are no other championship contenders in the top 10 at the moment. The first one is in 11th. That's Cody Neal, then Adam Ball, Justin Michael, Nathan Finnegan, all running nose to tail. They are all championship contenders, but in the top 10, just one driver is a championship contender, and this is just some amazing stuff that we're watching as we're clicking down the laps. Under 10 to go here for the Icon Cup Series at Talladega Super Speedway. We're watching a great race. We're going to see how this one pans out here, as it's either going to be a race to the finish. We've got
here we go.
Thomas Taylor bailing out. Absolutely. He begins. Brendan Jenks as well. And it looks like Mark Morton, all three of these drivers saying, we cannot make it. We're going to pull it into the pits. They're going to get it done early. I don't know if that's going to be to their advantage, but we'll find out. Now it looks like this is really breaking apart, and quite a few of these drivers have dropped off of this lead group.
We did see in practice the fastest two in practice. I know it doesn't usually matter, but the fastest two in practice were Mark Morton and Brendan Jenks, and they were in a tandem and able to set the fastest lap in practice. So them pitting by themselves might not be too detrimental because they were really good at pushing in practice.
Well, and of course,
here comes the rest of the field.
Oh, and we are absolutely seeing everybody coming into the pits here. This is everybody.
Those guys staving right there. Ronnie Norman, Harper, and Height. Look at that.
And we have one driver off. That's Anthony Campbell and Vincent Loria off into the grass. And as a result, I believe they're going to have an unsafe pit entry. There we've got a camera. Justin Michael in this group. And the first one off of pit lane is going to be Justin Bissonnette, with Sean Purcell, Evan Patinko, Hanover Fist, I believe, Evan Patinko in this group coming off. So Jacob Gladelich right now in the lead, but look at this group coming into the pits. This is everybody who thought they could save enough. It's Gladelich and Ronnie Norman and Cody Height and Timothy Harper, all of the Harper Motorsports teammates pulling it in. As a result, Hanover Fist continues. Did Hanover Fist save enough fuel? That's the question. He's going to stay out there with Ryan Patty, one of his good friends here in the Icon Cup Series. Did they save enough running by themselves to be able to make this work, or will we see them into the pits?
Hey, you know, no age shaming, but look at that. 65 years old out here leading Talladega. He still got it.
Reminds me of all those years in a row. We saw Derek Cope out there running, and Dick Trickle, and numerous drivers that return to the cockpit every single year, well up into their late 50s, early 60s. Hanover Fist holding his own. They're going to stay out there another lap, you would think. They would pull it down onto pit lane if they need that fuel, but they're going to try to pull this one out, perhaps. Running one. Unfortunately, Patty did not get that lap back, so as a result, he is not second place on the track. Hanover Fist is in the lead. Patty is a lap down, but Patty is going to try to push Hanover Fist, and you would think Hanover Fist would be like, hey, Patty, I'll pay you $10 to go up and lead me around right now.
Hey, we saw it, I believe I forget what track it was, but Tim Harper was running out of fuel, and his teammate was pushing him while he was clutching down the backstretch. That could work here at Talladega, but unfortunately, Hanover Fist finally going to have to pull it in. Ryan Patty also. But that's going to give the lead to the Purcell brothers. Sean Purcell in the lead, Kyle Purcell second, Nathan Finnegan third, Stephen Tuck fourth, and Cody Neal fifth once this cycles through. And it looks like Jenks and Morton even coming in by themselves. They're in 7th and 8th right there in that line.
Absolutely straight. The Purcell brothers are in the lead, but here comes Nathan Finnegan on the outside. Is he going to be able to take the lead? He's blinking in and out with that internet connection. You've got, I believe, Stephen Tuck is going to be 4th place at the moment. And Justin Michael is currently shown in 5th.
Yeah, with these guys being side by side right now, that's slowing them down and allowing the guys behind them to catch up ever so slightly. So these guys have got to get this settled. If they go back to single file, they might be able to continue out here and win this easily. One of these, I believe, 6 cars I believe there's a 7th one in there, but I think he's a lap down.
Well, and Jenks and Morton now are about a second, 1.9 seconds.
Oh,
back.
almost trouble. Finnegan almost went around off the bumper of Loria.
Well, he is blinking in and out, and that is going to cause a problem as now Purcell in the middle, 3 wide. They pull it back down together, but that was looking a little scary there for a minute. Finnegan's internet connection could be his undoing potentially in a tight situation like this, but so far he's hanging on. Last week's winner, could he make it back-to-back wins here in the Icon Cup Series? That would be phenomenal. Here comes Justin Michael on the outside with Cody Neal behind. Sean Purcell still in this one. Huge block, and I hear him barely tap the wall up there on the outside. No harm, no foul.
2 to go.
Vincent Loria is not part of this lead lap battle, but he's going to try to stay in there and be a part of whatever happens here. Nathan Finnegan is currently your leader on that outside line, and Justin Michael trying to stay in there as well. We've got 6 cars racing for the lead. Could throw a blanket over this top group right now, and that is going to let this back group catch them before the white flag comes out.
Yeah, you got to watch them because this might be a 4-wide finish here. They have good momentum coming right now, and with these guys still being side by side, it's slowing them down even more and allowing them to catch up. Here they come.
White flag about to come out as they come through the tri-oval. Who is it going to be? Leading at the line, it's going to be Nathan Finnegan as they march into turn number 1. This is going to do it. They've made it to the white flag. Justin Michael behind Nathan Finnegan. Here comes Stephen Tuck on that low line. Brendan Jenks and Mark Morton are part of this as well. Everybody now together. They race side by side down the back stretch. It's Finnegan and Michael. Here comes on the low line Mark Morton. He gets held up. There's Brendan Jenks on the outside and a big crash behind. That is going to give the win, I believe, to Nathan Finnegan.
Well, let's see. Here we come to the start-finish line. Let's see if anyone's got a run. No one does. Nathan Finnegan going to go back-to-back in the playoffs and is going to finish in first. Brendan Jenks barely eking Justin Michael out for second. Michael with third. The Purcell brothers fourth and fifth. What a finish.
And still finishing across the line. Ronnie Norman, Cody Height, going to have to settle for 7th and 8th position. Jacob Gladelich back in 9th place. Cameron Thompson, bit of a damaged machine back there in 10th place. What an amazing finish here on VirtualRacing.Network. Who saw it coming? Nathan Finnegan takes 2 in a row in the Icon Cup Series for Collar City Racing. Congratulations to him and Brendan Jenks. Justin Michael, your podium. We're going to let him come around and celebrate. We'll pull up the final results and get everybody ready to chat with the top 3 drivers in the Icon Cup Series Victory Lane discussion coming up here momentarily on VirtualRacing.Network. Be right back with some driver interviews. Stay tuned. And welcome back here on VirtualRacing.Network. Nathan Finnegan for Collar City Racing celebrating his victory at Talladega for round number 2 of the playoffs. He makes it 2 for 2 in these playoffs, taking victory both weeks so far. Congratulations to him. Second place going to Brendan Jenks of Full Send Esports. who makes it a bunch of second places that have been had by Full Send Esports this season. Unfortunately, no victories for that team thus far here in the Icon Cup Series, or Nora for that matter, but still some races yet to go there for sure. I did. Justin Michael in third place for Average Joe Motorsports. A terrific run from him tonight. Sean Purcell and Kyle Purcell finishing fourth and fifth. It looked for so long like they might be able to win this race. And some other drivers, Nathan Finnegan leading that charge around them with just a couple of laps to go. Brad Delp in sixth. Cody Height in seventh place. Ronnie Norman in eighth. Jacob Gladelich, ninth place. Cameron Thompson finishes in 10th place. Jackson Glenn Austin in 11th. 12th to Jamison Haviland. 13th to Adam Ball. 14th, Stephen Tuck. 15th, Mark Morton. 16th, Anthony Campbell. 17th, Thomas Taylor. 18th to Cody Neal. 19th going to Hanover Fist. 20th, Justin Bissonette. 21st, Vincent Loria. 22nd, Brian Patty. 23rd, Timothy Harper. 24th, Evan Patinko. 25th, Kevin Gunther. And 26th goes to Mike Jennings. And quite a few of the championship drivers finishing outside of the top 10, which is actually a pretty big hit in the championship playoffs. So with that, we're going to get a chance to chat with some of these drivers here in our post-race discussion. And I believe we'll get a chance to chat with Justin Michael, driver of the number 87 machine. Justin, welcome to post-race chat. Somehow you managed to get the Average Joe Motorsports 87 up there onto the podium. Congratulations, my friend.
We appreciate it. It was a, I don't know, it was a gas mileage race. I hate those. And I was good. I wasn't going to pit. And next thing I know, the entire field's pitting with, I don't know, 6 to go or whatever. So, I mean, I had to follow them at that point. If I was up there by myself, there's no way I would have been able to make it.
Absolutely. So, there was so much speculation, and we talked at the break with a driver who said that basically Vincent Loria said there was just no way that you were going to be able to make it. It was going to be really touch and go, and that caution coming out at absolutely the wrong time. Where did you fall into that group? Did you think there was a way to save enough fuel to make it to the end? Did you think there was were you gambling on being able to save it all the way to the end, or were you just thinking, okay, no way we're ever going to be able to make this, we are going to have to pull it down on the pit lane?
Oh no, like I said, we were good.
You did say you were good. I'm sorry, I missed
yeah.
that, but yes, so you were good to go until the end. But like you said, you would have been just a sit and duck out there. Well, either way, you played both games and you still won. You came out in third.
Yeah, definitely. It was a good race. Good win to Nathan there. But yeah, if I would have had draft the entire time, yes, we'd have been good. We might have ran out in the trioval or something, but we were definitely good. But it was a good, clean race up front. We always like that. And, I hate it. We didn't get any stage points. I don't know, somebody lifted and let me hang out, so I don't know why. But yeah, we got a good points day, and I don't know if that locks us into the next round yet or not. We'll find out whenever they update the points.
Yeah, and, again, we've talked with so many drivers coming into this race about how difficult it was to come to a track like Talladega plate race during the playoffs, and it's a crapshoot, let's face it. But you walk out of here with a third place, and that's got to feel pretty amazing considering you really don't. It's almost impossible to control your fortunes coming out of a track like this.
Oh, it definitely is. Plus, I didn't have any teammates tonight. I was all by myself, and I was just trying to latch on to people. And the 56 was, I was sticking with him for a good while there. I worked with Nathan for a little bit there in the middle of the race, so we just had to latch on where we could to people. And I don't know if I'd have won. Maybe if we come down 1 versus 1, maybe we could side draft and get him. But yeah, we'll take third. We're good with it.
Well, certainly a fantastic finish, and then Going forward, what are your thoughts as we get into the end of this round of 12? Are you feeling like you have a chance to win this championship? Are you feeling a little bit of confidence, especially with tonight taking a podium position?
Well, the past 3 races versus how my entire season went, yes, it's definitely turned around a lot. And, next week, we just need to get a good finish just to make sure we stay up there in points, and they'll reset. And I think there's a couple tracks coming up that I really like, so that'll definitely be good. And then we'll lock in the next round after that and go to Phoenix.
And who would you like to thank for tonight's run to the front?
Just you guys for calling a good race. We always appreciate that. All the admins for putting on a great leg. And I know you keep saying Average Geo Motorsports. It's actually Bandit Motorsports. That's okay, though. We changed it right before the season.
Oh.
It's not your fault. So, but yeah, everybody out there watching, hopefully that was a good race for everybody. Kind of boring, though, with the, the gas saving, I know. But at the end, it was pretty exciting.
It was very exciting from our standpoint, and obviously just to end up taking third spot. I mean, it seemed like a crapshoot that could have ended up in a yellow or a green-white checkered, but either way, you did a fabulous job to hang on there, and this may be a pivotal point of your season as you make it into possibly that next round of the playoffs, that you look at this third place and think, boy, I could have ended up in one of those wrecks or caught out by that fuel save situation, but instead kept your cool, ended up there in top 3. So congratulations, and we'll see how this one plays out for you headed forward.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
My pleasure. So that is Justin Michael, who finishes very well in third place in a kind of crazy finish here. But Christian, you got to be pretty happy with the driver who finished in second place, Brendan Jenks.
Yeah, I caught up with him down here on pit road. Brendan, I mean, one spot short, my man, coming in second place on a kind of a photo finish there with Justin Michael, but just so close to a win. I know you said earlier winning was everything because you're not points racing out here. So tell us about that race and how comfortable were you on fuel there toward the end? How'd you end up getting second place there?
Oh, well, I was about as comfortable as you can be knowing you're about to run out of fuel. So I was about 1 lap short the whole time, and we tried and tried, but I just could not get that extra lap saved. So I saw one car pull down and hit pit road, so I called out to Mark and said, all right, pit, and coming out of 4, and we both managed to make it in there. And it didn't necessarily work out exactly how we wanted to. We were about 2.5 seconds back from the leaders, but with some incredible pushing from Mark and a few other guys that got kind of paired up with us, we managed to catch them right at the perfect time.
Yeah, I saw right there at the end, you guys were kind of working together, but then you split up going into turn 3, and that it kind of spread out the entire field and led to the wreck, but you were able to squeak by on the outside and secure second. So good work today. Having that live spotter, I'm sure, helped. We were talking about that in the broadcast, how much that is a benefit. So was he able to stick around the whole time? Because I didn't see him in Discord there toward the end.
Yeah, he wasn't actually able to stick around. He had some computer issues, but yeah, live spotter can definitely be a huge help. And as far as that, us getting split up towards the end there, I think it was just kind of split-second decisions that don't always work out. You know, I saw a chance to go to the outside, and I didn't want to end up hooking Steve in there, so I went even further to the outside, and he ended up sticking to the bottom. So didn't end up working out for him because he got hooked, but he did a heck of a job pushing me up there. I would not have made it up to that spot if it wasn't for Mark.
All right, well, again, man, congrats on second place, and we got a couple races left in the season. Any that you think you might be able to win? We got the Roval coming up, and you got Homestead, I believe, Martinsville, Phoenix. Any tracks shout out possible win for you?
Well, you can count me out of the Roval. I'm not a road racer, but Homestead's a good track. I've always loved Homestead, especially if it's if we're running the top. I'm a huge fan of running the wall, but yeah, I think that's kind of probably my best track coming up here. So we'll see if I can go out there and put one on the board.
All right, before we let you go, anyone you want to give a shout out to for the second place finish tonight?
Yeah, of course. Again, I know I've already said it a few times, but Mark was critical in my position tonight. So huge shout out to Mark. My family's always watching, so big shout out to them, and of course to you guys. You being my team owner, and you guys out here broadcasting. It's been a blast in here.
All right, well, good luck the rest of the season, and hopefully you can get that first win for Full Send this season. Still winless out there for that team.
Yeah, thank you. We'll keep trying.
All right, Trevor, I'm going to send it over to you down there in Victory Lane with, I'm getting deja vu because I think this happened last week, but Nathan Finnegan.
Yeah, I just can't believe it. I think he's kind of in a bit of shock as well. Nathan Finnegan, what an amazing back-to-back victory for yourself. Just really unbelievable to see you be able to come from nowhere, essentially, and be able to take this victory as other drivers were leading with just a couple of laps to go. I'm speechless. I'm sure you must be as well.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't expect to find ourselves necessarily in that position, and when we came with a couple to go with the Purcells and took fuel only, it worked out off of pit road, and we were able to group up. And sometimes, it's nice to be good, but it's better to be lucky, and that's the position we kind of found ourselves in tonight.
Well, how did you try to position yourself for this? So much talk about the fuel-saving situation based off of where the caution fell. Did you have confidence that you were going to be able to make it to the end? What was your whole planning procedure going forward from that caution?
Yeah, I mean, me and Adam Ball tried to just stay in line and save fuel and stay tandemed up as much as we could to try to. We thought we might be able to make it, and we were getting pretty close, and we ended up figuring it wasn't gonna work out for us. So we tried to make a push to the front and try to get a little bit more racy in hopes that other people would follow suit and maybe naturally, organically cause a caution to end up happening. And otherwise, we were gonna have to probably come down with like 1 or 2 to go. We weren't gonna make it, but. Once the Purcells called out they were pitting, it seemed like the golden opportunity to kind of come down, and we knew that other people were going to have to do the same thing. There's no way people were going to make it, and luckily we had a majority of the field make that same call. So,
well, this was an amazing race from start to finish. There was not a shocking number of cautions like we've seen in some other plate race before, but here tonight, this was a very different race than what you saw over in Texas, where you managed to pretty much dominate and walk away, so to speak, with the victory there. At what point did you feel like you could take over the lead and possibly make this one work? Was there a point that it started to click to you like, hey, I actually have what it takes here tonight? Even though you didn't go up there, you led some laps, but you didn't lead as many laps as you led in Texas. Where did you make the decision like, hey, I could actually go up there and take this win?
yeah, I mean, the car felt good in traffic all night, felt good leading. We were able to push pretty well when we had the opportunity to. And yeah, I mean, kind of like a lot of great plate racers in real life cup, they kind of just bide their time and wait for the opportunity to present itself. And we were in a good spot coming off of pit road, and we saw the run that was led by the 67 and a couple guys as they were coming up on us, and knew at that point had to make a run to the front. We had enough fuel to make it from there, and we could at that point get into a spot where we felt more comfortable to kind of defend rather than attack. So,
well, what a fabulous win that you took here, 2 in a row. So is this just you're going to win all the rest of the races of the Icon Cup Series, or what are we planning for here?
I wish that was the case. Some really, really good, talented drivers in this series, and it's nice to get hot at the right time. And yeah, hopefully we can keep this good momentum going. And big shout out to the 10. He gave me a massive push into 3 on that final lap and helped us clear traffic a little bit there and be able to kind of then go on to the defense and drive from the rear view. And hold off the 38 and the 87. Definitely appreciate them racing me clean to the line there. And hate it for our other guys. Justin and Adam both had really good equipment tonight, and Mike Jennings as well. And we wish we could have got one of them in victory lane and guaranteed them a spot to transfer. But they got good equipment, and I think they'll show up in Charlotte. So.
Well, and that is our next race at Charlotte. So I suppose then, as you said, the focus turns to helping your teammates to try to qualify then at Collar City Racing for the playoffs. But anybody else that you'd like to thank before we close this one out tonight?
Yeah, definitely big shout out to my parents, my fiance, all tuning in and cheering us on. And yeah, the URI 6 Chevy Camaro was definitely dialed in again tonight. Felt really strong. And yeah, just appreciate the CCR crew, ECR crew, all those guys back at the shop, and just everything that we put in every single week. So,
well, a beautiful win tonight out of nowhere. You managed to take it in the way that you pretty much have to at one of these plate tracks, and you bid your time well. You played the fuel game well. You ended up taking the victory. Congratulations to yourself, and we'll see you, of course, next week at Charlotte Motor Speedway, where maybe you'll try to make it 3 for 3 here in the round of 12.
Yeah, it'd be great to see happen if it does. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
So that is Nathan Finnegan, who takes 2 in a row here in the Icon Cup Series. Stunning fashion to see it happen. You didn't seem so shocked, Christian, but at the same time, hey, anybody who's out there watching, we do appreciate everybody joining us over here in YouTube. Morgan, thank you for your lovely words, dear, in the chat. Appreciate you. Love you, dear. But also, everybody else who's watching along, hey, if you're not already subscribing, you're going to be missing out. We got so much great playoff action here on VirtualRacing.Network. You want to subscribe and also hit that like button. Christian, this was an amazing race. I mean, I think it kind of worked out the way that a lot of these plate races do, where you really don't know what's going to happen until the very final lap. But also next week, we got to hit that Charlotte Motor Speedway, and it is going to be very different than these last 2 races that we've seen.
Yeah, I mistakenly said it's the Charlotte Roval, but these guys are actually doing the Oval and not the Roval. So interested to see what happens there. It's that track's always a toss-up too. You either go into it with an amazing car and you can lead all the laps and you're really comfortable, or you go in and the car is a dump truck and doesn't like to turn. So we'll have to see how the setup is next week for these guys. And I tell you what, I'm kind of bummed. I'm gonna give up this nice, comfy seat up here in the booth tomorrow, and I'll be out there sweating bullets tomorrow.
It'll be your turn to white knuckle it and ride around for a whole bunch of laps and make your last lap move to try to take the win. But good luck, of course. Tomorrow night, Christian, will be looking for you and talking to you during the race. And everybody out there, if you're watching, hey, you'll want to be here tomorrow night for the NORA Truck Series at Talladega. Don't miss it. Should be a high-flying, exciting race. Christian Snyder will be behind the wheel, as will everyone else who is in the playoffs. So with that, I'm going to close this one out. My name is Trevor Greenfield. I was joined tonight in the booth, as always, by Christian Snyder. On behalf of us here at VirtualRacing.Network and all the drivers, the administration of the Icon Cup Series, we bid you farewell and good evening, and we'll see you again tomorrow for the NORA Truck Series. Until then, have a wonderful night, sleep well. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye, everybody.